right. Good morning, guys. Good morning. It's never nice to come in and start apologizing, but I do have to, because we've run late. We've been experiencing serious challenges on my side. So let me absolve the Gamedalas. Somebody say, "Banjeke abachat." I bobu chat babo. That causing this to happen. It's been technical challenges on my side. Apologies for that. We are here as promised. I am bringing them, and they are my guests this morning on Grace Talks. So hang tight. Grace Talks is on, and I'm not going to waste too much time in letting them join us. But I cannot start without you guys telling us. Greeting and telling us where it is that you are joining us from. But let me put our guests on, all right? So I may not be able to take all the greetings, but Shemi Hanuva, okay, Hanuva, so let's take Hanuva, Somerset West, I think. Let's take, I'm not sure what it is, I suspect it's the Lioness. All right, come on, guys, let's come in and let's greet. And yes, tell the others, eventually we made it. She's going to kill me. Please, somebody go and tell Grin that we are here so that we can start. She has been trying to join. It's like someone please find her. Let me not waste time, but while I'm introducing my guests and getting them to talk to us, can you please, wherever it is that you are joining us from, greet us and tell us where it is that you are joining us from. England is here, so we are starting. Our international community is here, and East London. I suspect East London is here. Poch is in the house. Morning, Ketu. Cape Town is in the house. Morning, Nongosi. Botswana is in the house. Morning, Bukhari. Jeffries is in the house. Okay. All right. Keep greeting, guys. Keep greeting. I am so sorry for making people search. It's technology. Sometimes it doesn't misbehave. Okay, I'm gonna let my guests in now. So I'm saying that so that they can prepare themselves as well. All right. Woo, we are finally here. Morning, guys.
Greetings, morning, ma'am, and morning to the Theatre of Grace community at large. We are happy to be here, finally.
Finally. Hi, Zim. Let's hear you as well.
Hi, ma'am. Morning, everyone. Theatre of Grace, all the women, because I know this community is filled with women, praying warriors.
Ladies.
Morning, everyone. Ladies. All the ladies, yes.
All right. Now I'm asking you to introduce yourselves, okay? And so somebody is doing it for us. I'm not sure it is that's saying this on the Facebook community. Abantu abathanda ukuhleka. So even as I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves, one of the things that you are known for, ningabantu umakazi wami wedlangothi inhleki ibafazi.
All right.
So abantu abathanda ukuhleka kwalo hlangothi ngabantu abalinganayo. They've got the same height, which is very rare. Yeah, but anyway, so it's going to be fun this morning. I'm sorry, it needs to be serious though. Okay, let me just allow you guys a minute to just introduce yourselves. But the reason that you are here, for the sake of those who may have missed the memo, is that you guys wrote a book. So still wrote a book, but we say you guys wrote it because, well, it's about marriage. So he could not have written a book about marriage and as practical a book as he did without the involvement and the presence and the blessing Kazim. So this morning we have Uzimkita and Sidima Gamedala joining us from East London, from my church, our other home church in East London, Summer Pride Church. It's Summer Pride. We will have that conversation some other time, but big ups to the church and its representation here. So before we go into this book that many people are wondering about, what's this about? All right. I want them to just quickly introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we'll take it from there. I don't know who's going to start. I don't want to say ladies first, because we are already outnumbered in terms of community, but you decide who's going to start.
I think it would make sense if it's ladies first. Otherwise,
okay.
Go ahead. All right, ma'am. My name is Sidima Gamedala, and this is my husband, Sidima Gamedala. We are a couple of 17 years blessed with 3 kids. We are in East London, big on family life, big on children, development of children, or whatever you may call it. But we are that couple. We are a fun couple. We enjoy each other's company, actually. We've just since become best friends. This is us. I'm a teacher by profession, a foundation phase teacher. You will hear when I'm talking, I'll make practical examples because that's who I am. And my husband here is in the profession, is in the medical profession. Right now, you are in, what do you call it? Occupational health. Yes, that is us, Gamedala family. We are both from Queenstown. We're both from Queenstown, but Sidima was born in Free State, yes. But we're both from Queenstown. We met in Queenstown. We've been together since. So yeah, basically that's it.
She said everything.
She said everything, but we were the interesting things that we were in the same high school together. I knew that she'll be my wife when I was doing when she was doing grade 1. I started at 8. Standard 7.
Grade 9, standard 7.
Standard 7. I said that is going to be my wife.
So you guys have been together that long then? Just married for 17 years, but you've been together for very long.
Yes, definitely. Even at tertiary, we were together.
Friendship,
yeah.
Yes.
And then at tertiary, you were together.
We started dating when I was doing my first year in tertiary.
Oh, wow.
Just after matric, we started dating each other. So yeah.
So you went to the same schools in Queenstown, stayed in Queenstown together, went to the same tertiary together. But at this stage, you are just friends, just from wherever, from your home. And then when it's a tertiary, you're like, okay, let's make this a bit serious now.
No, you know what, ma'am? You're going to laugh at this, and more people are going to laugh at it. During those years when we were not dating, I was working hard trying to get this lady to be mine, and she was saying no.
Okay.
I can't. I don't want to. So I was busy at that time.
Okay.
But we went to different universities. I went to CPUT, which is Peninsula University of Technology,
yes.
And he was in UWC at the time. That's when we
just across the road from each other, right?
Yeah.
No, not really. I was in Cape Town campus.
Oh, Cape Town campus, yeah.
And he was in the Bobo campus. Yes, ma'am.
But because we have Stazim, so Stazim, we normally meet and have the same worship. We're the same family. If students, all students that are in Cape Town, they are at Adventist, they normally meet, and so this is where it was very easy for us to meet and start dating. Yes.
All right. Okay. You're a beautiful love story. So on another day, on another book, we will just tell the story. But I'm sure that's also those are nice to tell. All right. Okay, guys. Now, Steve, my friend, you then decided we are going to the book. Okay.
Yes.
This book is getting tongues wagging, and part of that is the title itself. All right. Don't get married. All right. It's such a bold title. It's such a strong title. Don't get married. And then you don't stop there. You say, it's a trap. All right. It's like marriage is a trap. Don't get married. All right. And then, of course, thought-provoking reasons and facts to postpone your wedding date. Now, as those ones that are thinking about it. So we're going to talk about that today. But I don't want to, because I've read the book. I have a bit of background with regards to this. So I don't want to preempt you at all. So let me start by asking you, number one, what led to the writing of the book? And then we're going to talk about the title of the book, because it's one thing to talk about what led to it, because the title and the second I'm putting comments below here just for you to see how far we are reaching. So we are South Africa, we are in London, we are in the Aussies, we are in Botswana. So this is actually becoming quite a wide range and international community, to my absolute joy, because that's the whole idea, spreading the message far and wide. Okay, the book, what led to the writing of the book?
All right, thank you so much, ma'am, for that question. And in all honesty, when I wrote the book, when I started writing the book, I didn't have everyone in mind.
Okay.
I had my kids in mind when I wrote the book, because My kids are growing, and very soon, I mean, our firstborn son, who's now 18 years, we are going to hear him very soon say he wants to get married, or he's going to get married. He's going to get tertiary and say he wants to get married. Now, look, I needed to leave a legacy behind. I needed to sort of counsel and sort of like write letters to him, and not just to him, but to all my kids, my children that are coming even after Uliema, my son, my last born son, and my middle child, Ulona, who's a girl. So with an understanding that this thing called marriage is very serious. I mean, I've been there for 17 years, which is a decade and a half, over a decade and a half, by the way.
3/4.
It's something that can never be taken lightly. And if taken lightly, it can become a serious trap, by the way. And realizing that as married couples, we are very silent when it comes to the marriage issue. We are very silent. We solely depend on counselors, by the way. And we only go to counselors when there's a problem. Yeah. And sometimes when we go to people, we don't trust them, and we end up dying in silence. And so I thought, let my voice go out there. Let me say something. At least, not because I'm perfect. In fact, it is because of those imperfections that led me to write, to say, look, I've learned from here. I've got to let someone know that I've learned from here. I mean, other people started coming in as I was writing the book, like, okay, this will help even the not yet married yet. This will help even the married to know that they are not alone if they are facing such challenges. And if we can be aware, if we can preach a lot about the challenges that we are facing as married couples, and how we overcome them, we may end up actually preventing people from getting into the trap of getting married. The issue of and I now want to get to the second question, by the way, because it's linked, it's interlinked. If we can, because the book, that title is true to its meaning. Marriage can become a trap if entered upon by the couple lightly, if taken lightly. If you enter blindly without knowing what to expect in marriage. And this is where we come in. As married couples, we need to say something to the not yet married, to help the counselors, because we put a whole lot of load to the counselors. But the truth is that there are very few, and they cannot do so much. And most of the time, when the engaged people approach the counselors for premarital counseling, they've already made their decision that they're going to get married anyway. So whatever they will be saying, there's nothing that can change them. So they can only, you see now, they are in a situation where they can only do so much in preparation. At least they should know this and that, but the decision is there. Not that they are going to say, please help us to know if we are ready for marriage or not. And this book does that. The book does that.
Absolutely, it does that. And Zim, if there's anything that you feel is left out, even as I am going through that, you are free to chip in immediately after him. So if you feel that he's left something, but and so you then went. We're not going to talk about the process of book writing, but I will take this moment, Wenasdi, and honor you and celebrate you during the people for the courage, one, to put it on paper. To put it on paper, to make the decision to write. But many books have died between the paper and the publisher, between the computer and the publisher. Some have even died at the level of the publisher, but you pushed through. And I speak now from experience of the difficulty of that. So let me, before I forget, honor you for basically seeing the project all the way to its finalization, and actually then put your voice in the discourse about marriage. And for me, what makes your book unique is that it's very, very practical, not in the sense of what needs to be done, because we can give practical advice, but from experience. And as an African, I enjoy it. I celebrate the fact that we have an African voice in the conversation about marriage. Now, I'm going to come back to you, Dee. I want you to just quickly run through one of the things, because we have to explain the trap story, what makes it a trap. All right. And so we're staying now just a little bit outside of marriage before we get into marriage, where you share about some of the reasons why people get married. Yes. But not all of them, but the terrible reasons. People sometimes marry for the wrong reasons. So I wanted to just take a moment or two to the ones that are considering marriage, the engaged, the ones that are wanting marriage, the ones that are wishing for marriage. Couple goals, all of those things, and they I want. So let's talk about what you talk about in the book as well, about some of the terrible reasons. We may not go through all of them, but some of the terrible reasons for getting married and how they make marriage a trap. But before I then ask you for that, I want to hear from Zim. What you what? It's one thing. So he says to you, Zim, he's writing a book, and then he says to you, he's writing a book about marriage, and then in the book he becomes a little bit vulnerable. And you can't be vulnerable in a marriage topic without implicating, for lack of a better word, your spouse. You can't be. So when I got the book from I celebrated, and then my eyes were open. I'm like, okay, Nasdi, I need to know, before we go too far about the book, does Zim know about the book and the things that you are saying in the book? Because for me, that was very important. That comment. So we needed to know that your buy-in is here, and I love what you guys are then doing as you are promoting the book, that you are doing it together, so that we know that but you've also learned lessons and you've decided to share. So your view, Zim, when he said he's going to write the book, let's hear.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. Well, ma'am, let me be honest once again and say that he never said that he was writing a book. I never knew up until it was in its final stages. This happened, he started writing the book during COVID. So you would understand COVID time, it was the most difficult time. So I think he was trying to pass time, and also he started writing the book at a very difficult time of our lives, when we had lost everything. So whenever he opened the laptop, and I keep saying this, whenever he opened the laptop, I always thought that he was bringing in money, but this guy was busy writing the book. Exactly. So I truly and honestly didn't know that he was writing a book. But one thing about our marriage is that we've allowed each other to be ourselves. I've allowed, it may sound wrong to say allow, but I've allowed him to be
given him
and he has allowed me to be. Yes, he is himself. He is an individual in the marriage. I'm an individual in the marriage. And we come together and we create this marriage vibe that everyone seems to see that it looks good. But when he wrote about it, I didn't want to have any I didn't want to impose any of my ideas. I didn't want to say, I didn't even ask, what are you writing about? The minute I found out he said he was writing about me, I laughed. And I said, dude, this thing, it's quite very difficult. Why would you want to write about marriage, And you know that it's one part of our lives that it's very secret, you want to keep it, even though we are in social media, but this part of our lives, we keep it behind the curtains as much as possible, So it was a matter of, why would you want to? And then he explained to me the concept and why he wanted to put it that yes, Zim, even though we are married, even though we are not perfect, but our imperfection has to reach other people and for them to know that they can conquer even though they are imperfect. So for me, it was a matter of just support him in prayer. There's absolutely nothing that I can do about it. Scary as the idea might be, because he would be talking about something so divine, something that the devil doesn't want anyone to hear about. But my role, I just assumed an immediate role, just to pray for the succession of the project, just to pray for him. Whatever that he writes here would be something that God would want all the people in the world to hear about and to be as true as possible. There was nothing that I didn't even contribute one word. I don't want to lie. I just gave out advice. I trusted him. I trusted him and the conversations that he had with God about the book, truly and honestly. But I think that's it from my side. It was his journey. with God.
Yeah.
Can I just
That's beautiful.
There?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I think I felt that she was scared after discovering that I'm writing a book and about marriage and about us.
I was.
Because at times when she sees me on the laptop, she'll be restless and move around the laptop. Feeling that, I could sense that she wants to read, but she doesn't want to at the same time because she's a teacher. As soon as she sees a spelling that is wrong, but I'm like, guys, I'm not in that stage right now. But I knew that she was scared, and she at one morning when she woke up and found me writing, she said, "XD, I'm praying for you that this project, because you seem to be serious on it, that it be successful." But one thing I need to say, man, I trust you. Whatever that you'll be writing there, just make sure that it doesn't bring shame to our family. And this is why I knew that, okay, she's scared. She's worried.
Yeah.
She's worried.
Yeah. And that is really okay, because sometimes we want to sugarcoat things even with each other in the context of marriage, and I'm glad that you guys are also being honest about that, which is what I appreciate so much about you right now in terms of how you've decided to play this marriage thing. Because we could just say here, walk away and say, I supported him all the way. I believed in him. I believed in his abilities. No, it was real. It was real. But what you have said, when Nazim and a few people are resonating with it, I just want to put it up there again, is that in the end, you still allowed him to be his own person. You still gave him the room and the space to be his own, as scary as it was, because it could have failed, Zim. It could have failed. It could have failed. But there were two options for you to especially as you were saying, we're going through such a difficult time. How could he be, of all the things that he could do in dealing with what you were dealing with at that moment, he decides to go and write a book as if he's turning a blind eye to everything else that you're going through. So you could have gone both ways. And we thank God that in the end, in spite of your fear, in spite your nervousness in terms of will he succeed? We are going through this. What if he says too much? And then how will people receive it? Because in the end, or your wife, you sort of you own it, you become part of it. Even if look, Sidima Gamedala, so Steve is the author, but really you are truly involved in a because you are married not only in community of property, somehow you also have community of identity. So I wanted to just bring that up, Uguti, as much as he wrote the book, especially because of the title and the subject involved in the book, you had to be involved in some way. It may not have been as writing, but you get there. All right. Somebody says, as a wife myself, I get you, Zim. Absolutely. I'm laughing at the teacher in you and in me now. His spelling is in our face today because it kind of spelling is like, but we will distract the flow if you go to the spelling. All right, but thank you, Sim. And of course, once you make the decision, okay, I'm not going to block it, therefore I support it, and the best support we can give. But we will move this discussion now to the power of a wife and the power of a husband. So we'll spend more time there. But the thing about praying then for him, once you decided, okay, I'm not going to block it, but I'm going to support it, and the best form of support that you could give at that time was to pray for him. But Steve, in your book, marriage, no. There are reasons, there are terrible reasons that we use for prayer. And so I want you to do that. Okay, I want you to just spend a minute or two talking about those reasons. And like I said, if you forget something, Sim, you can just chip in. I'm going to share information just now to the community about how you can get copies of the book. All right. So don't worry, I will connect you guys. I've got you covered. Whether you are local or international, I've got you covered. So I'm gonna come to you, Steve, just now. But if you guys see me, I'm gonna take my video off quickly. So I'm here. I'm just gonna put myself in the background. I'm here, but I just wanna fix something. Okay, so you can go ahead.
Okay. All right. Look, I think people marry for various reasons. People marry for kind of very interesting reasons, and based on my experience as well, by both by observation and personal experience. If you don't get married for genuine reasons, in the near future, not very long after you get married, once those reasons are gone, then your marriage is also gone, you know. So, and I realized that because there's been a lot of divorce that is happening in front of us, and some couples that we admire the most and we love, and then they just end. And when you go and check what's the reason, because you get scared also that you might be in the pipeline also to get, because we are also not immune to divorce. I think I've highlighted that also on the in the book, that look, we were also on the verge of divorce because those things affected us also, you know. So when you go and check, you discover that no, man, actually the reasons for them to get married in the very first place were wrong reasons, and this is why this led to eventually divorce. And some of the reasons that I mentioned, they are sort of like marrying for money, marrying because of pregnancy, peer pressure, especially peer pressure. Peer pressure, I think it has killed many, it has led many to disastrous marriages, because we marry because our friends are getting married, and I especially to ladies, and we feel like, look, I am not successful enough until I get married, until I myself get married, because this is how most ladies and single ladies measure success. That if I can get a husband, if I can get married, then I would have what we call clocked life. You know, we use that term nowadays. So, but then later on, that create problems, because that feeling, once you are there, okay, now I'm here, I've achieved the goal of getting married. Now what? You see, so then the investment becomes more on preparations of getting married, so that we can have the most glamorous and the most beautiful wedding ever. So we invest on the wedding date, we invest on the wedding ceremony itself, the outfit, the photo shoot, and everything else, but not invest on how to keep the marriage. And this is what led me to write about these 5 terrible reasons to get married for. And I'm saying terrible because the end results of getting married for those reasons are terrible. Because divorce is the worst. Is the worst. I've seen what divorce can do. And I myself was on the verge of divorce, and the pain and everything that you go through, I'm sure it's hectic and it's terrible at the end of the day. And we have seen what it has done to those who have divorced already or are in the process of divorce. And this is the reason why I decided to write about this reason, so that my son can know that, or my daughter can know that, baby girl, you don't get married for money, and baby girl, you don't get married because you are pregnant. And I'm going to let my wife chip in, and I know she's got something to say on that as well.
No, yeah. With the terrible reasons also, something that I quite relate to would be one of the biggest reasons now that we find very attractive is that you get married because you're pregnant. You get married because what's the next step? And you get married because you don't want your kids, you don't want your child to grow up. For instance, we come from different family setups, way different. I come from a blended family, fully blended. My mom came with me, daddy came with his kids, and then they had their own kids. So we are a fully blended family. So for me, there's nothing wrong with being a child from a single parent, because my mother was a single mother for years. And for Sidima, he came from a standard family. He came from what we call a conventional family, like a normal traditional family. So we came from both worlds, and now when I am pregnant, to me it's okay. It's okay for me to be a single mom. We'll do fine because my mom did it. But for him, it's not okay because he doesn't want any of that to happen. And it's one of the most prominent or the most used reason for us to get married, and yet it's not the good one. It's not a very good reason to, not unless you know what you want, not unless you know what you want to get out of it. You love each other. For instance, when I got pregnant in 2006, and we had already set a date for us to get married in 2007. So the pregnancy kind of like moved the wedding date to a year sooner. But the plans were there for us to get married. Another reason here, it's reason for money. What happens when the money is not there? What happens when the money is not there? You marry this person for money, and then the person doesn't have money anymore. What then? And another reason that is very important, and especially now in these days, it's getting married for physical intimacy. You get married because actually he wanted to bluntly say thank you to Sister for modifying, because I think it was brutal. But if marrying for sex, what happens if the sex is not there? Yes, we want to be intimate. Yes, we want to. Actually, it's exciting, to being intimate. But what happens if it's not there? What happens if he's got diabetes? What happens if he has an accident? What happens if it's not there? Am I still going to stay married? Am I still going to be committed to this thing? So I loved the 5 terrible reasons and the brutality of him writing about them as honestly as he did in the book, because they really show what is happening out there. And it's even worse nowadays. Physical intimacy has been made to be one of the most exciting things and one of the most important thing actually. So it's quite, and also for our teenagers to know that you cannot get married because you're excited about being physically intimate with the person. You need to get married because you want to be married. You want to be committed into this thing.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to put in this comment from Utabisa, and then I want to come back to you when D as well. Let's quickly, before we go too far in this conversation, let's put God in the picture. As the owner, as the author, the sustainer of marriage. Notice I did not say the finisher of marriage, because as far as he's concerned, it's for keeps. And that's one of the chapters in your book. See, that marriage is a one-way street. It's for life. But of course, in our humanity, we do not always get there. But I want to just share this comment by Otabis in terms of the other side, adding basically to the list of reasons. You gave 5 in the book, but truth be told, there are way, way, way too many.
Yes.
And thank you for the honesty with because this is why I appreciated the book, because I look, as a married person, I've read a lot on marriage, and I've read the spiritual aspect of marriage, but the reality here is the things that we marry for and how they can go wrong. Sometimes the intimacy, social media makes it such a thing, the intimacy, the coolness of it, and it's nice. We're not going to lie. But when you say I do, hey, Jonga, the other day I was reflecting on for richer for poor, poor, in sickness and in health, swagil, and then till death do us part, in sickness and in health, for richer for poor, for better for worse. I will. And we will always get to that because there's an enemy of this institution. But let me just bring in this from Otabisa. She says, unfortunately, there are also deep childhood experiences that also lead to marrying wrong. The way in which marriage was portrayed to us. I mean, in the African context, it doesn't matter. So many of us get to understand the emotional foundation to our identities later on in life. And I wish we can normalize the culture of dealing with our childhood traumas before walking down the aisle. I mean, there's so much that we can say. on this topic here, and somebody just saying such honesty. And that's really for me the biggest takeaway I have from your book is that it's honest. It's not crude. Right, for those people, because sometimes I often say when I speak to young people, there is honesty, but then there's also verbal pornography, where we are so honest and so open that we are now putting people in a like they are just watching a pornographic audio or listening. That's not it, right? But it's honest. It's honest. And then somebody says, the next time I'm home in Ngobo, and the old-fashioned ladies ask why I'm not married, I'll tell them that's it's a trap, all right? But we've clarified that, right? It can be a trap. Marriage is not a trap. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here for 17 years.
We are not
trapped. We are not trapped, but it can really feel like a trap. So let's put God in the picture, in the bigger scheme of things. That gave these beautiful institutions, Mchato, Nesabata. But before I do that, I've put, for those who have been asking, those are the contact details, Gasti. I put in there the price of the book and the contact details. They are also both on social media. Both Ustima no Sima also on social media, so you can also contact them via social media. I'm one who strongly believes in buying the book for you, but buying it for another person, so that you always keep your book, because abantu bayasithatha incwadi zabantu bangazibuyisi, yathengwa incwadi olekwa. Okay, all right, okay, back to you guys.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. The even right from the beginning of the book, right when you open that book, the first sentence or the first line in the book, it says, marriage is God's idea. And he is the one who has the keys to this marriage life. And he has the manual for marriage. And he will give those who will seek the manual honestly, from God himself. I realize that there's just no way that you can deal with marriage outside God. There's just, you cannot, you won't make it. You won't. And the reason we have failed marriages sometimes is because we want to deal with issues or marital issues ourselves. We're using our own wisdom and forgetting that this thing belongs to God. This is why at times there's a closer phrase that says, but there's something that says, and my wife always says this all the time. You hear that a couple is getting divorced, and we talk too much, and we whisper, and we do what we call gossiping about it, and say, it's because of so, it's because of this, whatever, and then we make conclusions in our mind about why they're getting divorced and everything else. And then once we are busy doing that, 3 weeks or a month later, we see the very same people, so lovey-dovey, and sitting together in the restaurant and having fun. And we are left to wonder, and we are left naked. The reason why is because this thing is God's things. We have no say as humans. This is God's. In dealing with every problem, every marital issue, there's got to be God. There's no way we can't forgive each other if we have no God. We've got to have a peace. We've got to be. He's the author, as Mem said, of marriage. And in dealing with all our marital issues, we've got to consult God. There's just no way without God. And this is why it is emphasized even in the book that, hey, we've got to consult God. And this is why God is the center of marriage. And it is fully emphasized in the book. We would not even have made it this far ourselves had it not been God. We wonder, and we talk about it all the time with my wife, that, how did you make it this far? I mean, all our friends are divorced. And all those we married to the same age group. Most of them are divorced. And they're divorced for the very reasons that for the very
Same reasons
that we would have. I mean, we the same problems, marital problems, and how we overcame it. It's God's grace. There's just no way that we would have made it without God's grace. So I mean, we've gone through a lot of the reasons that most people divorce for, and we've mentioned it in the book that we've been through this. We've been through this. If it's finances, we've been through that, and only God can help us, and could have helped us.
Yeah. And I want us to go there next, Wednesday, and then we're going to conclude, because we have to at some point bring it to an end, about there are people that want to show their names in the comments. If you are, the Theatre of Grace has got two groups, two platforms on Facebook. There's the Theatre of Grace Facebook page, which we are not live on because StreamYard has brought me down to 3 places. So we are live on the community, the Theatre of Grace Facebook community, but it's a closed community. So because it's closed, you have to allow StreamYard to show your name. So if you did not, it will not show your name. But I'm live on my personal page, on my personal Facebook. So you can go there and make your comments there. Then it will show your name. There, and then of course there are those who are joining via YouTube. If you are joining via YouTube, your name will also show there. Please don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. All right. Let me take this comment from Starch. I'm loving the honest conversation. It's good to talk about the realities of marriage so that we give those aspiring a balanced perspective. So looking forward. So Starch, we organize you the book. So you need to get hold of us. Okay. I hope I've answered you guys on the technical question about where to show. Okay. But yes, if you are on my Facebook, your name will show. Okay. Now we thank you so much on bringing God into this picture. The thing is about izinto are very scary. When God says do something, you can't do it. You can't do it. We sometimes flippantly quote Philippians 4 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Really, the truth of that statement is that for you to do all things, you need. So the power of that verse is not in the I can do. It is in the Christ who strengthens you. So I love what you're saying, that at the end of the day, God is the one that gives us the responsibility of the many things that God has decided to entrust you and Zim with me and Kotela with. In the many things of the things that He decided to entrust us with. One of them is marriage. It is the responsibility of marriage. I run away from saying gift because then it makes God unfair. Who gets a gift? Who doesn't get a gift? But it's a responsibility which, when well looked after, is really truly also a gift. So God, in His wisdom and in His sovereignty, has entrusted you with this. But they're really difficult. And hence they need Him to remain at the center of it. And what makes them even more difficult is that there is an enemy of God. The devil is not our enemy. He's God's enemy. But what he then does, he goes after everything of God. So the minute God entrusts you with something, my friend, anything, a ministry, a marriage, children, I'm speaking here from experience. God entrusts you with something, when you say yes, you must say yes with trepidation. You must say yes, because in saying yes to God, you have also picked a fight with the enemy, and he goes for you. So now, before we talk about, because I love the chapter in your book where you talk about the power of a faithful wife and the power of a faithful husband. I want us to go there, but let's go a little bit deep. Steve, you mentioned it a little in your previous now. Singaphakathi a little bit about those that wanted to come in. And you've opened the curtain to something that everybody knows, but we did not want to talk about it. And Zim, you can also come in here. What are some of the challenges that the 21st century, are we still in the 21st, couples are going through? What are the challenges that we are going through in marriage? Zim, you can come in here, and then Steve, you can also just fill it in. You've talked about it a little bit. I mean, we were laughing about it yesterday. You even have a chapter on it. It's so big, and the whole story of I just want to go there because I want to say social media, but you call it digital dynamics. I thought that was a beautiful way of talking about it. Yeah. So go ahead. What are some of the issues that are taking place in marriages as we speak?
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't get that. What are
the challenges that we are dealing with in marriages currently?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, well, some of the challenges that we're dealing with, personally, I would say one, it is, our different backgrounds. It's the biggest first challenge that we deal with in marriage. For instance, I liked what Mrs. Tabisa said there about the traumas and everything. Having to blend together the personal background, the personal traumas, bringing in together to a successful marriage. That's one. Having to blend together I want to put it in a very nice way. But let me make an example on this one. For instance, you remember I said, and I come from a blended family. And when I say I come from a blended family, I mean like truly and honestly. And I got married when I was 19. I mean, who in their right mind would get married at the age of 19? And honestly speaking, the reason why, and I was talking to my brother this past week, I was in Johannesburg, and we're talking about this, and they were saying to me that I got a clean break. And we're laughing about this clean break thing because it to some of us, we are running away from certain things that we just don't want to stay with or to stay in our homes. There are certain things that you just run away from. And in us trying to run away from those things, in marriage, they creep up. What I was actually running away from, I mean, getting married, it's because there is something that happened. There is something that I wanted to run away from. Okay. Now, in marriage, a 19-year-old would certainly feel that in me being 19, I'm very young. Sidima is very old. Actually, he's 6 years older than me. Then he would want to assume a responsibility of being a father. And I'll be saying, no, I ran away from a father. You cannot be coming here and wanting to be a father. So there's a thin line of trying to balance our backgrounds into marriage. And they creep up and they show up and they become the biggest challenge in marriage. That's one. Second one, the digital dynamics. I want to go into that one very in like 2 minutes. The digital dynamics. We are living in a world where social media is life, truly and honestly. If you are not on social media, you are taken as if you are not clued up, or you're taken as if you're backwards. You're not what like vibe. I want the right word for it. No. Okay, but fine. The thing is, my mind works very fast. But yeah, if you're not on social media, then you're not part of the world, And the biggest challenge is us coming into the social media, not ready for the world, not ready for the attention that comes with the social media. I mean, the minute I put my picture on social media, I'd get 100 likes. If I get this 100 likes, am I ready for the 100 likes? Am I ready for the attention that I'm going to get from the opposite sex? Because Nyanike, truly and honestly speaking, Zim is a very beautiful woman. Steve is a very handsome man. Yes. It's one of the most challenges now in marriage, because when we get these, they challenge us. They challenge our commitment to the institution. They challenge our commitment to our values. You find yourself doing things that you were not even supposed to be doing because of digital dynamics also. And another thing that comes into marriage, that is the biggest challenge right now, it's money. I don't want to lie. It's money. The world, or actually, let me say, social media has made money to be a standard for marriage. Yes, we can talk about God being part of marriage. Yes, we can talk, but love without money nowadays, that's nothing. We are fana nongekoyo, we are fana nomchato ngekoyo, we have materialized marriage so much that where there is no money, there's no marriage. And it's so sad, because we are putting pressure, unnecessary pressure on the next spouse. You'd find that the husband wants to work overtime and the woman wants to work overtime. I'm one of those women. I'm an independent woman, yes, married, yes, but I also want to be a housewife. I've been a housewife. Uliema, which is our eldest son, I started going to work when he was 11 or 12. So Uliema, I've actually mothered him. I want that. And the reason why we cannot do that is because we want the rush, want to secure the bag, want to get the bag. And those are also challenges into the marriage. How do we balance getting the money? How do we balance getting the money? Raising the kids, another huge challenge, ma'am. When you're in marriage, it's the kids. I don't want to lie to you. Having kids at 19, it means that my son is 18 years old. He's old. That boy is old. These kids, during the day, when my husband and I want to quickly go into the bedroom and you know what I mean. But the minute we want to go and do that, these kids are wide awake. Wide awake. Even at night, they are not sleeping. So those are also biggest challenges that we're having in marriage, where kids, they become, what do you call, party poopers in a way. Party poopers in a way. But in all that, I like it when you say that God is the author and the finisher of this thing, because even if these challenges are there, if God is there, you put it in prayer. My husband always laughs at this. I pray about everything, ma'am. I pray about everything. I pray that, listen, God, when please make these kids sleep, because I want to have my time with my husband, because we're having big teenagers. I want to, and God would actually do that. You know, He would make them that one night for them to. So now the only thing that I would say that in all the challenges that we feel that we face, if we give them up to God, then they stop becoming our own burdens.
Yeah. She covered them all, Steve.
Of course, but I think the one that I'm passionate about is the social media, because it also affected us, the social media. I must tell you that. You see, I even wrote in the book, you have to decide when you're a couple, what are you going to do about social media? How are you going to behave on social media? You see, once there's trouble in paradise, we see it on social media. There's just you've got to set boundaries on social media. Otherwise, social media has been proven to cause trouble in marriages, in most marriages. In fact, most marriages are ended in social media. There's a lot on social media. There's everything. Somewhere you got my raw manuscript when that is I wrote that said it's Satan's grounds. I wrote something like that. That it's a university of Satan. It's where it's actually the kingdom of devil in social media, because there's everything. We at some point we fought about this. She would write something like, "Hey, Mo, how can you write something like that? This is inviting. This is and my wife would say, you know what, do you want to be in control? Do you want to be in charge of my social media? And there's just a lot, ma'am. We fought a lot about that. Whether you've got to decide, do I want to have passwords on social media? Do I want to be involved in that? But that's controlling at the same time. If you are doing that, then you are controlling. It's one of those challenges that young couples are facing. I'm telling you, it's social media. Especially when the man would say, "You look beautiful. Wow." To my wife, I'm like, you know this.
They love your stickers. They put a love.
Well, how is he your friend and not my friend? You two know each other somewhere. I'm telling you, this is serious, man. In other marriages, especially young couples, marriage can end.
The young ones, especially the young ones. Because some of the people that follow you, they are the exes, especially in the new marriages. Look, 17 years into your marriage, your ex from high school can be your social media friend, because but in new marriages, your ex can't be your immediate and be loving your statuses and commenting sometimes some things that seems neat and clean. But look, guys, I told you this book is amazing. So I hope that from the bit that we are sharing now, that you are getting something that says to you, I actually want the book. And the thing about it, you sometimes, book for you, but you also may have somebody in mind, like, you know what, I want to gift so-and-so with this book, because we cannot in an hour that is about to finish go through everything that the book is about. We do not want to either. That's why we encourage you to buy the book. Uchawe, So I've got my phone looking at the internal messages in the group. It says, my people, my couple, there in the studio, Chawagas. Authorship is a great fulfillment, says an author himself, was written The Price and Prize of Greatness, Pat Komafani. Just to know your story and your thoughts are shaping the world out there. And true, that is basically what's happening here. And then Umam Matabo says, sometimes it is not money, it's the standard. And I think this is so powerful.
Yes,
so you need to agree as a couple. It's the standard that you as a couple set. And I think that is also where social media comes. Because we see whoever's active on social media, if you're both active, you see other couples. They tunan batenge imoto, batenge intonton. And you're like, no, I think we're behind, as a couple. And so you find that there's pressure that we put on ourselves as a couple, or the one puts pressure on the other one, because we're also trying to live up to what that standard is. It's important to agree on you can always strive and work for better, but it's important to agree. Otherwise, you can then work so hard and have the money, but not have each other, not have the actual beauty of marriage. Because at the end of the day, and we must get there in this conversation, that marriage is a responsibility, but it's also a gift that God has given us to enjoy, to use it. Yes. And I want us to talk about that as well. And that is what you guys are also doing. And it's something that we believe strongly in this house, that also marriage is a vessel and a tool for service. That when God gives you this union, he gives you somebody to hold hands with as you are busy in the service of his people, in the glory of his name. Let's go to this beautiful part that you wrote, chapter 13 and chapter 14. We are in marriage, and we can do so much to help each other within the context of marriage. We can do so much to make marriage work for each other. But often it is the other partner that has to be in service of the other partner to make this work. In other words, I can't, as a wife, have to demand from my husband, or a husband demand from the wife. But I need a consciousness to know what he needs in the marriage. And he needs a consciousness to know what I need. And so he is in service to my needs, and I'm in service to his needs. And sometimes that is where we also lose it, where we no longer look out for each other, that we become so interested in what we want that we forget about what the other person also wants, etc., etc. So you wrote then in the book, there's 2 chapters, the power of a faithful wife and the power of a faithful husband. So maybe Zim, let's start with you then, to talk a little bit about the power of a faithful husband. What does that mean to us and to you, therefore, as a wife?
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. The power of a faithful husband. I always call this, when we talk of faithfulness, this is the heart of marriage.
Yeah.
When we talk of faithfulness, it's the heart of marriage. I mean, all these things, we can talk about all of them. But where there is unfaithfulness in marriage, then it means that there is no marriage at all. Once it breaks from there, then it means that we might as well just jump ship. And it's where most marriages end, where there is unfaithfulness, Ostier wrote in his book, actually he quoted a quote from Ellen G. White, where Ellen G. White says that the husband is the house band, and me being a foundation phase teacher, I thought of an elastic band. An elastic band, you want to wrap it around your set of pencils or your set of sticks. It wraps around, it stretches itself to its limits. Now faithfulness, it's a matter of doing that. The husband, he is supposed, it is expected of him to stretch himself to that limitless, to that certain uncomfortable way of limits, if I can put it like that, where he stretches himself. And he makes an example of Uriah, the husband, and there, Uriah's wife, she cheated. She slept with King David. All right. Now Uriah has to stand true to the meaning of being a leader, to the meaning of being a soldier, to the meaning of being a man staying true to the cause. All right. So he ends up not sleeping with the wife so that he can take the blame. Okay, it's not even take the blame. You know?
Yeah.
But when he speaks of a husband in the book, he speaks of a husband as being the husband. Now, if we can talk about faithfulness, I'll say faithfulness, it is being righteous. In marriage. If you are being faithful, what is said is that it's the most tested, you know, having a husband, having that elastic band, you know, being faithful to you, you know, as a woman. And also, in our society, a man that is faithful, I weak, you know, we call it a weak. When he's sticking to he has been, I don't know how to put it in Xhosa, in English, but he has been given umuti or something like that, because to the society, a man that is being faithful, it's a weak man. A man, to measure a man's groove, going to measure a man's whatever thing is, he must have multiple partners, you know. Now, for him to go against what society has put to be weak, he has to stay true to his cause. Now, the power of a faithful husband, it shows that the man has got is committed to God. It's a commitment with God on its own. It might not be something that I want, but it's something that is required. God himself wanting it from the husband. All right, that's one. Now, what does it do? Why do I want a faithful husband, Muna? I want a faithful husband because, one, if I don't have a faithful husband, then it means that in the home we are not protected. There's no way that an unfaithful husband can sit there with us and require us to pray and you know, and cover us and protect us in that sense. All right. So spiritual growth of the family, it lies on him being a faithful man, because he cannot present himself to God and present us God being a sinner himself. That's one. Two, it brings about freedom and confidence. I don't want to lie. I don't want to beat around the bush about this. When a husband is not being faithful, it takes down a whole lot of confidence from a woman.
Yes.
You cannot stay there confident about your marriage. You know that your husband is not being faithful. He writes about this in his book. You know, the confidence. You know, I think we can be honest to say, once your husband starts to cheat, you even stop posting him on social media. To be honest with you, you stop, because you feel like everyone knows that he's doing these things. It's like he's exposing us to the, and people will laugh at you, you know, because I was why is serious who's busy, you know. So the minute he's not faithful, then it drops down a whole lot of confidence in him, you know. Also, him being faithful, it's a legacy to also our kids, you know. To be honest with you, the reason why most of our kids are not phased about marriage, let me put it like that. The reason why most of our kids are not phased about marriage is because they've seen us failing in it.
They've seen a lot.
They've seen a lot. And in order for him to grow abantwana who respect marriage, to grow abantwana who respect God, he has to lead. He has to take the lead. He has to show it. And another thing, that I think this would be the last one, and I think I made a note out of this, and I said, kids, kids, they model, they mirror what they've seen. Even the wife, you know, with the mirroring, the mirroring, if you do something there, you smile, I smile, because I'm mirroring what you're doing. All right. Now, there's something that we say that if the husband is wayward, and Sidima is going to chip into that, if the husband is wayward, it's easy even for the wife to be wayward. It's not something that is expected to but it's something that is there because we mirror what the other person is doing. You can do it intentionally. You can do it. It can happen in your subconscious mind, but it happens. So it's very important. I because of time, I cannot go deep into this, but I wanted to just strike those ones that these are the most. The reason why I would want him to be faithful is because of these things. But there's a lot that I am. There is if you are unfaithful, health hazards into it. You know, we don't want to see ourselves in a situation where we blame each other, where I die and you stay with the guilt that I killed my husband, or where he dies and he stays with the guilt that I killed my wife. I brought him diseases into the marriage. But I think if a person would go into the book, they would read more about the power of a faithful husband. But I just wanted to highlight those few things.
Yeah. Sure. I think one of the things that is happening here, I've got some comments that I will share, but let's D come in as well so that I don't preempt some of what he might say. But we all just appreciating the honesty, the uncovering of some of the things that we talk about behind closed doors. So there's a lot of nodding and to your comments, Zim. D, let's run straight to you. Faithfulness by a wife, its implications and its meaning to the husband.
Yes. Look, ma'am, let me just highlight. There was no way that I could have written the power of a faithful wife and not write the power of a faithful husband. Otherwise, my book would have been biased. It would have been said, oh, then they're expecting us to be faithful, but what about them? And this is why we've decided to do it this way here, because I could have talked about the power of faithful husband, but I wanted her to talk about, and this is what we talk about when we're preparing this.
The woman perspective.
You talk about, because you are expecting me to be faithful, so talk about that. So and then I'll talk about the power of faithful wives. And just a few things. The aim here, or the gist of the matter here, when you talk about the power of a faithful wife, is that wives they've got a power of influence. Any community that wants to change or for the better involve women. I promise you, because women have got such a power. I even wrote there because one writer suggests that their influence is closer to that of God. Especially praying women, praying wives. Their influence is closer. And I've mentioned many examples of the Bible of women who managed to influence the entire village. I mean, you look at the woman at the well, who went just one woman and told the entire village that there's a man, and everyone was convinced. One. And power of a faithful wife. Let me just mention and put out there: we want faithful wives. Period. Nothing else. When wives,
faithful wives.
I promise you, when wives are not faithful, there's no marriage there. No. Everything that she said, it same applies to us. There's no marriage there. But let me just go quickly with this one of influence. Such that the way she is so influential, she's got a power to influence the husband to stop what the husband is doing if the husband is busy. And we know this. We grew from villages where it is known that father so and so is unfaithful. I mean that he stays there even as a child there. But we don't hear that this woman left and divorced because the husband was unfaithful. But what we hear is that at the end of the day, the men changed for the better because, and I've often hear this when we would attend marital, what are those things? Marriage enrichment seminars. When couples stand there, most men would say, I would be nothing without this wife. And she not been faithful. And she would honor the wife because she had actually influenced prayerfully the husband to be straight. When the wife is not faithful, there's the husband becomes a mockery. There's nothing that men can do. I mean, think about it. We become proud of our wives. We sometimes post them on social media, and 101 men are saying, "Oh, if only you knew." That's really bad. The last thing that I mentioned there about faithfulness is that there's a saying that says, behind every successful man, there's a woman. And indeed, behind every successful marriage, there's a faithful wife. Most marriages succeed not because the husband has been faithful. And this is in no way saying that the husband must be unfaithful. But most marriages succeed because the wife has been faithful. I promise you. And I've made practical examples there. And I wish I wish people could read that. That the reason why most marriages are successful is because wives are faithful. And the reason why marriages have ended is because wives have not been faithful. It is true that men cannot take unfaithfulness. Those who can.
It's unfair, but we leave it at that.
I know that it's unfair, but this is the reality. We always fight about this because it sounds as if you read, even when you read, it sounds as if now we are promoting unfaithfulness in the husband. But this is the reality. It is true that men are very weak when it comes to these issues. Women are powerful, and women have got power to adapt. And women have got power to absorb these things and remain faithful till death. And so the book encourages faithfulness in both. In both, and I've tried always to balance in both. There's no way that the other one is overlooked. But I'll have to come out strong on both. When I talk about husband, I have to come out strong. When I talk about wives, I have to come out strong. Since now I'm talking about wives, I have to be strong. I can't be weak because we need faithful wives. We live in a community where wives are not faithful. Terrible. Sure. If you want to destroy the community, just let wives be unfaithful, period. The church is gone.
And also, ma'am, I think let me just add something to those who are not, because now this is talking about faithfulness in marriage. If you are outside marriage, if you are not married yet, the biggest question that you need to ask yourself is that, am I going to be able to be faithful? Am I going to be able to be faithful with everything that is happening around the world? Am I going to be able to?
And if your answer is no, so touching that about
it's a trap.
You take somebody when you know you're not going to be faithful.
True.
Okay. All right.
Let's just say that happens. But just one more thing. We are ending now. Let's just say that happens. One of you becomes unfaithful, or the two of you, or whatever.
Okay. In the marriage setting. Mamelasti, I want you to pause that because that's what I want you to conclude with.
Okay. All right. Sure. All right.
I want us to conclude with the fact that we have this treasure. I said marriage is that, but we have it in earthen vessels. We have it in earthen vessels. I love your example, Azim, of the elastic band, that we can stretch it sometimes. And we can stretch it, and I want us to broaden faithfulness, because sometimes we can limit it only to adultery, but sometimes we fail in our faithfulness to each other's. Like if somebody, if Steve becomes vulnerable to you when Azim, and tells you his deepest, darkest things, and you share that with somebody, that is a form of unfaithfulness, because you've broken the trust one way or the other. So the bigger, broader meaning of faithfulness is trust. Trust. Trust not only that I can trust you to not have a relationship to bring the third person into this unit, but to also trust you with the treasured things of this unit. That is in those to appendlini, that are meant to stay only between the two of us. If one of us takes them out in some or another form, or if one of us betrays trust in some or another form outside of being like bring another man or woman. That's a very deep thing. So sometimes we can lose that. So it's also important from both sides of this thing. Okuchi, if I have shared something with you, or if something happened within the context of just the two of us, that if it gets out by one of us, that's also a form of faithfulness. But I just thought, let me throw that in. Where I was going and where I want you guys to then conclude is then the whole topic of forgiveness. All right.
Yeah.
Utindin makes this comment, which is, where was it now? It's here. That it is unfaithfulness, not a phase, though. How different is it from other weaknesses one may experience in the journey of marriage? Why does it sound like it's an unpardonable sin? And that's where then I'm also going to say that, yes, the man is the husband, all right, or the wife is the prayer warrior of this marriage, but that husband is a human husband, and sometimes, as we know, it has happened. The band, if it gets overstretched, when Azim, and sometimes that's stretching. Sometimes the pressure on that band is from the internal pencils that it's holding, but there's also the external pressure. But there's also the external pressure from the environment in which the house band is operating. And in his humanity, he may break. What's there? Understand? What's there? And that is the depth of marriage. Indoba kwenzeke, indoba abe unfaithful. Is it an automatic? Let's go and sign this thing off. On both sides, and we've said that we know men are struggling more with it. That when something happens, they are the ones that they battle with it forever, and we're not going to go into the psychology of that. That they are the ones who are quick to go to the divorce court. But truth of the matter is that should infidelity, its broad sense, mean the end of the marriage, and I think that's where the power of forgiveness comes in. But let me also read this comment by Uso Mila before Dinini took both each have your say. I need to go. My children are late for club. No, so we will pay for late fee. But Usam says she wanted to also take a moment to extend her heartfelt congratulations to you guys on the publication of your book in a time when the institution of marriage faces numerous challenges. Let me put it here. Sorry. Your dedication to exploring this vital topic is truly commendable, and your insights and wisdom are sure to provide much needed guidance and inspiration to countless individuals navigating the complexities of marriage. Your contribution to this important conversation is invaluable, and I doubt that your book will change lives. I think that's what it says. If I read the rest of it in the group there. So thank you so much. I thought let me throw that in before, as we are busy now, bring it to the end. So both of you can come in, talk about the importance then of forgiveness. Uchata Moni, a friend of my husband's once said to me,
of course.
And Naya Adam. And we know what Adam is. You understand? Okay, so I think for me, as we are concluding it, let me just allow you to speak to that. So that we do not walk away, we will come across as people that are saying that this is how marriage should be, and if it is not, that's the end of it. That is why the book exists. It's this book basically has looked at marriage from a 3D level. From all angles, from a three-dimensional. Umshado is a complex. It needs to be dealt with it. Gezandla as number one, but gezandla is manje. And when that happens, you are able to deal with all its complexities and get to the beauty that it's meant to be. Okay.
All right.
No, let me start.
Okay.
So this is what I want to say, and this is where, because I forget. You've just reminded me of something when I'm by lifting up that book. That book is not written by someone who is in a perfect marriage. In fact, in whenever we post ourselves, there's always that bottom hashtag that always says imperfect mates for life. And this was influenced or powered by the book that we both read when we were still courting, written by D.N. Hampton and the husband. The book which says Imperfect Mates, Perfect Marriage Very small book, but very powerful book. So we regard ourselves as imperfect mates.
Yeah.
If because we cannot um, uh, set the standard high, the attainable standard, because then people will not get married because they would say there's no way. Marriage is not for the perfect, put it that way.
Yeah.
But we strive for perfection. Marriage requires commitment. Period. This book is not a hypothesis. I'm telling you, we've put practical example there. We've been down this road. We've been down this road.
Still treading those waters still.
We've been down this road of unfaithfulness as well. I think I've mentioned it down there because we've been there, but we're still together. At some point, we've got to come to our senses and say, okay, this has happened now. And this is what I said when nothing happened. Okay, this has happened now, my wife. What then? Let me tell you what's going to happen. First of all, I'm not going anywhere. That's the first thing. First thing, I'm not going anywhere. 1, 2, we need to find a way forward out of this. So we are in this for life. We have said till death do us part. This is where God comes in. This is where forgiveness comes in marriage. And this is where most people fail in marriage.
It's a struggle.
Especially us as males, we don't forgive. It's hard to forgive. Maybe even to forget. It's very hard. I tell you, you need God's grace. Every day.
On a daily.
Because there are triggers daily. I've said to you, we are on social media a lot. Once you see this and that, this triggers that. But with an understanding that this thing belongs to God. Only God can help us through this. So should that happen, then forgiveness chips in. This is where you've got to exercise the 7 times 70 rule. Which in marriage doesn't necessarily go to 7 times 7. It's a once-off thing, and then most marriages are gone. There's not even 7 times 7. Because man, and I'm talking because I was talking about the power of a faithful, and she's going to talk about that. This is where most men are finished.
That's so odd.
Once your marriage is finished, you are also finished.
All right. Yes, I'm going to make it very quick. When we were deciding to get married, we consulted Umfunso Papu. And Umfunso Papu set us down. And he said to us, now that you guys want to get married, if you are unable to forgive, then stop. Forget. If your level of forgiveness is too low, if your tolerance of another imperfection, of another imperfect act from another person is too low, then stop it. I took that and I brought it into our marriage. Marriage requires forgiveness every day. Sometimes you even become numb. I mean, I'm just being honest. You just become numb and you think you have forgiven a person, but it is your emotions shutting down on you. But you come back to the senses that it's either you forgive or you pack your bags or you go. Sister said something that is unfaithfulness a phase. And I want to believe with all my heart that unfaithfulness can be just a phase. It can be something that happens and something that you will have to forgive over and over and over. Or it can become a character sometimes. Ibe a character yomntu iphelele apho na. Ibe a character kuphelele. For instance, we're being silly at home. We're sitting there with my dad. My dad now is with my mom, and he's like a married man. And my sister and I and my brothers were laughing. And it's something that Umfunso has said, what Umfunso Nglisa, akonkange ngadubingit. You know? I think yes. It happens. And it's because my mother has decided to forgive the husband over and over and over. Now, the only thing I can say is that forgiveness is hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to forgive. It's hard to forgive and forget. There is hurt in it. There is a realistic vulnerability into it. But if you love the person, it's easy for you to forgive and forget. Yes, you may not be able to do it, but it's possible. And what Mfundisi Papu had said to us, and when he said, if you are unable to forgive, then marriage is not for you. So
okay, look, we can be, and of course on the topic of forgiveness, that's a whole conversation on its own. But I think we have to bring it to an end now, and anybody who wants to have to delve deeper into this topic, get the book, guys, get the book. I don't whenever I put authors here, I'm very deliberate, so I know the kind of blessing that comes out of that. Of course, these guys are my friends and I celebrate this book, but I didn't just put them here because of that. And Michali says it looks like unfaithfulness is a whole topic on its own, so maybe we have this conversation again. You know, something that God revealed to me as I conclude about this whole topic of forgiveness and grace is that we actually somebody says they need the book, and I think you are in the closed group in the community. Yes, if you can just go through those community, those, and attend to those, please. That when somebody has done you wrong, very, very wrong, I think sometimes we can, especially as prayer warriors or praying women, we can even stop acknowledging the horror of the pain. That you've got to find, for people to deserve grace, they've got to be found guilty. So you've got to say that they hurt me badly, and what they've done is painful. It's painful, but I choose to give them grace. So, because what people say about forgiveness is it seems unfair, that it cancels and it minimizes what they've done. No, when you forgive, the reason you forgive is because you realize that what they've done is wrong, and it's painful and it's hurtful, and you choose to give them grace. You choose to forgive them. But, and unfortunately, Pastor Papu will feature here because he married us too. And that is what he said something about that 70 times 7 is really just a number, but not to be ticking off. And by the way, it's 70 times 7 by the same person. And so, and what it means is that every time that thing that they did, not that they offend you 7 times, that every time what did you forgive them again. That same thing. So every time it comes up in your spirit, you forgive them again. Give them again. And of course, who brings it up in your spirit? The enemy of the institution, the enemy of your soul, the enemy of his soul. And so you sometimes find yourself talking, I forgave him. I forgave him. So I'm not going to go back and stew on that. But guys, time. Let me then allow you to conclude. Once again, guys, please get a copy of the book. Only 250 best investment you can make, whether you are married or you are single. This is a book to have. The contact details are there. But also, if you search D and Uzimkita on Facebook, for sure, I know that they are also there. The book is also available on Amazon for my friends now who are outside of the borders of South Africa, because within SA, we can courier everywhere. But outside of that, it's also available on Amazon. And I want to then take a moment as you close, so each have your concluding remarks, and perhaps in that to acknowledge people that perhaps have helped you in this journey of writing the book. I won't talk about your journey of marriage because that's still going, but in your journey of writing the book, please, just let's have a few acknowledgements of who are the people that have assisted you in this project, as I congratulate you on it as well.
All right, Nkosman, I think let me start by acknowledging those people right away. And I couldn't wait to do that, by the way, but I was looking for the right moment. And let me start by Uqina, because she's here, Uqina. Do you know that she's the one who encouraged me to bring the manuscript to her? I mean, we quoted, and Uqina is an editor, by the way, and the
publisher. So if anybody is looking for a publisher,
they're in the book. So she quoted me, and then I was like, "Yo, I don't have this money. I don't have this money." She's like, "Steve, bring that manuscript, man. Don't worry about the money. Bring the manuscript. Because she had read the manuscript. She had actually, the topic itself excited her. That's for the exciting things only. And
Well,
eventually said, you know what, Steve, I'm going to take that money from you. I'm going to continue doing this. Just give me 1,000, right? I'm going to continue doing this because I can't wait. You are wasting time. And people are writing, and now you are going to miss out a lot. This thing has got to be out there. And she pushed me to the limits. And I really applaud her for the great work that she's done. I mean, she would even say to me, Steve, I mean, I've never seen an editor who takes you through every line of the book. Says, Steve, I sure about this line. I think we should put it this way because we don't have to be rude. We don't have to be this raw. It may sound this way. I mean, Guna was the best. So I want to applaud Guna. I want to acknowledge. I want to honor her for a great work. Also, Pastor Papu, obviously, no me Papu. Pastor Papu, when I gave her the manuscript, I mean, Pastor, when I gave him. When I gave him the manuscript, yes, it took him long to respond. But when I got that call on Sunday morning, I knew that man I have read the script. You know, the first question he asked was the very question that you asked. Does your wife know? Let's start there before I comment. And then the rest is history. The man of God even wrote the foreword and was excited about the book because it was an honest book. Mom Gamedala, you are the first person to receive the manuscript. Man, the encouragement I got, the honesty. One thing about you are very honest. You don't want to lie. You are very honest. My friend, take it or leave it. This is the honest truth. I still have your VNs. And I thank you for that. Thank you for inviting us to the It means a lot to us as the family.
Yeah, this has been beautiful. I'm in trouble elsewhere, but let's do this one right.
Last remark to the not married yet. I know there are some who are saying, I won't buy the book because the book says don't get married. It's a trap. I first want the trap.
Now says you said that. You will be quoted and misquoted. But
you'll be doing yourself a favor by reading the book because before you get married, you need to fortify yourself with knowledge as much as you can. Know what you are getting into before you get into it. The disastrous thing that could happen is for you to get into something you don't know and then you end up coming back fast, very fast, and you hate everyone. And to the married folks, let's be ambassadors of marriage. Let's talk about it. Let's help those. I mean, people who are married, when they see a relationship in church, they can tell that this is not going to work out. They can tell, but they don't say anything until it's finished. But we need to not be hypocrites. Let's help. They're not married yet. Thank you so much.
All right, ma'am. My last words is no one is perfect. We're not perfect, but the greatest question is, should we then become silent because we are not perfect? Should we not talk about these things because we're not perfect? And I just want to put it out there that imperfect as we are, but we really need to talk about these things. Marriages are dying, a silent death. Marriages are they are not seen as something beautiful anymore. Marriages have been deemed to be the worst ground to walk on. And it's because we have become quiet. It doesn't matter even if you're struggling. It doesn't matter even if you're struggling with what. Marriage is God's institution. We should not be silent. We should not be kept quiet because of the challenges that we're facing. So if you are married, talk, guide, lead, help as much as you can. If you're not married, if you're not ready for marriage, do not get married. Do not get married because we don't want to grow that will hate the institution because of the marriages we're producing.
Thank you so much. I think, guys, you've given us a mouthful, so much to think about, but we still arrive at that place that is indeed a beautiful institution and it's God-given. And when we say that, we often talk about the wedding, but marriage itself. I mean, I'm sitting here, there you are, looking beautiful in spite of everything that you have gone through and will possibly still go through. So, but I think it needs these truths to be acknowledged and to be out there because then we can deal with them. That this is the other side of it, but it doesn't cancel the beauty of the institution. They love one of the biggest blessings in life is to have another to share life with, to raise children with, and to conquer with, and to walk on this journey to heaven. So I wanted to just congratulate you guys and celebrate you so much, for the courage to basically open the lid on this. And of course, there's so much to be said, and you could not have put it all in one book. But thank you that you are continuing the conversation, and let's do that. Let's have the conversation and let's pray for each other. Those of us who are married, when we hear there's trouble in paradise somewhere, let that not be a topic that we sit and sip tea over, but let it be something that we pray over, because the minute so let's please do that. I love this quote that you put at the beginning from Dave Mora, I think, that a great marriage is not when the perfect couple comes together. It is when an imperfect couple learns to enjoy their differences. Thank you so much, Steve and Zim, the authors of the book, Don't Get Married, It's a Trap, available via them, but also available on Amazon. Let me also take this time to thank the community of the Theatre of Grace for joining us. And lastly, I almost forgot. I almost forgot that we have the Theatre of Grace conference taking place. Yes, the date is out. The date is out. All right. I'm going to put it down here. And I'm going to pause it. I don't want to talk. There we have it. All right. The date is out. It's the 24th to the 27th of October. The registration was open. When did we open it? I think on Wednesday or something this week. We've already got about close to 100 people registered already. So don't wait. All right. Don't wait until the end. Go into the link. The link is found on the various platforms. You can also contact me and register ASAP. This time we are in the Western Cape in Somerset West, at the bottom there of Helderbeck Mountain. That's where we're going to have it. It's going to be it's our third installment, and it's one of those life-changing events that you can ever have. So I said to every woman, you want to go to the Theatre of Grace conference at least once in your life. You want to go at least once. But let me tell you, there are people who have not missed one. There are guys that started in Mpumalanga, and then we were in Benoni last year. And please, let's go. One of those best communities, best gift you can ever give yourself. So D, best gift that you can give to Zim is Theatre of Grace. There I am. Putting you on.
Definitely.
All right, thank you guys. I think let me go now. I am misbehaving. Thank you so much, everybody. We will meet again for the next Grace Talks, but we are continuing with the daily and the regular activities of the community within the group. Do me a favor, share this broadcast in your platforms so that other people can come across it who have missed it, and they may get the blessing, and of course that they may also get the book. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a blessed week.
Thank you so much, man. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.